Hi, this is Rocky Horner, and we're talking about the new math. We're going to look at the dollar index, the Dow, crude oil, and then for the Forex traders, we'll take a look at the Aussie, we'll take a look at the Loonie, and we're going to start off with a look at the Dow here as we see that we're just skyrocketing higher towards an inevitable date with the 200 period simple moving average. I think the volume here is a very interesting story, probably better left for another time, but I think it's very interesting to note the degree to which the volume is just showing a very low level of participation. But nonetheless, it's price action that we're trading, and it's price action that has continued to allow the Dow, of course this is the YM, mini Dow futures, to trade above the 34 EMA wave and continue to plot green grab candles, reflecting the bullish sentiment, the bullish momentum. The optimism trade is alive and well, and we're definitely dealing with just a continued push higher. Earnings look great, but they actually have for a few quarters. I think what this is, again, is this expectation that Europe is going to find a solution, even with the surrounding quicksand that, for now, traders seem to be very comfortable ignoring. Let's face it, we might hear a lot about people being so negative, but what we're hearing and what seems to be happening in the market are two different things. Now, as this Dow moves up higher, we can't ignore the fact that the dollar index has continued to be pressured lower. Again, another date with a 200 period simple moving average on a daily. There is no more psychologically significant a combo than a 200 period simple moving average on the daily time frame. It is so well watched. It will definitely be a support level to contend with on the dollar index. And equally as important, you got to remember, will be that resistance level on the Dow. Now, I may not look at the YM for that. You might be better off actually looking at the DJ for that. Actually look at the index itself. Don't look at the futures. Again, still a 200 period simple is alive and well, and I do want to respect that as resistance. So the dollar index is pushing lower. We could see a really significant acceleration to the downside if that 200 period is broken, because along with that 200 period simple moving average, we have the 7600 major psychological level, and if both those levels are broken, I think we could definitely see a quick acceleration down to perhaps that 75 level in a pretty big hurry. But again, that also presupposes continued bullishness in the Dow. And by the way, this all sets the tone for the CL, the crude oil market, and we can see this acceleration to and through $91 a barrel. So where are we now in crude? I can talk about the 200 period simple, but the fact of the matter is, before we even get to that level, I think there's the matter of these past resistance levels that we should respect. And the high here is 90.52. I think continued support above this level becoming some sort of near-term floor is really important. So let's go ahead and put that in there, 90.52. So even though we are above it, I think we got to respect the fact that with as much as we've moved, I think what we want to see is whether or not, when some profit taking takes place, and let's face it, there's going to be some profit taking on this move. So whether you look at it as an intraday correction, say on a 1 hour chart or whatever, we got to recognize that if and when this starts to happen, will this 90.52 level be respected as a floor? And will buyers be willing to step in there? So here's a quick Fibbo. I'm drawing this on the intraday 1 hour chart. And this is based upon today's acceleration. This is based upon the low here, which is 87.48, up to the high, which you can see here at 91.88. So that kind of puts that 90.50 level sandwiched in between the 23.6 and 38.2. Could be an interesting level to watch. Some traders might say, well, it's too short term. A Fibbo, I want to see something a little bit more significant, like a pull down to the recent low over at 84.10. That's the way that would look. Okay, so this level wouldn't even represent a shallow 23.6. Either way, I think it's something worth considering. Again, what will the support be when this move is corrected? And I do expect there to be some correction on the move. So let's take a look at the Forex side of things, and we'll start off with the pair I always think about when I'm looking at crude, and that is, of course, the dollar Canada. The loonie continues to strengthen against the greenback, and in all fairness, the greenback is weakening, so this is as much a strong loonie move as it is a weak greenback move. Also consider the weaker dollar, what it does to commodities in general. Commodities tend to rally on that weak dollar, and of course crude oil is no exception. Crude oil is also being pushed higher by what has been a strong day in the Dow, up 109 points, up at 11,866. So all those factors together are pushing this market lower. The Canadian dollar has transitioned out of the uptrend, definitely. We're looking at what had been a bullish market going to bearishness and a little bit of a neutral sideways movement, and now we're definitely taking on what is now a third full day session of bearishness on the dollar Canada. Again, moving lower. This is a transition, and it actually is a wave reversal as we break down through the 34 period EMA on the low. And as long as we continue on with this strong Dow, we're going to continue to see likely crude oil supported, maybe at 90, and we'll see that loonie continue to gain on the risk appetite. Another market to watch is the Aussie. So again, based upon this strength in commodities, here we are seeing the Aussie bust up through that 200 period simple on its daily chart. Again, what's helping the Aussie here? Strong commodities. We're seeing that weak dollar, strong crude. What else are we seeing with the Aussie? Well, I should mention we do have the CB leading index number being released tonight. That's a moderate impact number. But what we're seeing here overall is just this Aussie gaining on the greenback. And again, the major factors to me are that weak dollar on the risk appetite, the stronger Dow, also pulling up that crude oil market, and it all spells more bullish movement. This is nothing but an acceleration, by the way, of the current momentum, well, the sentiment, the momentum, and not quite the trend yet. I don't see the clarity out of the 34 EMA wave for me to call this an established and healthy uptrend, but certainly we have the organization of sentiment and momentum accelerating the current bullishness on this chart. And as far as traders willing to support the 200 period simple moving average, this will be a level to watch. And whether or not we'll be able to get up here to previous highs from late August, early September, that's really going to be predicated on whether or not, and we go back to crude and the dollar for this, so whether or not crude can establish support above 90 or at least continue this bullish momentum, and then add to that whether or not the dollar, and here's the biggie, whether the dollar will break that 200 period simple moving average and the 7600 and accelerate lower. So a lot of ifs here, but notice how the links are put together. Notice how, I like to liken this to gears. Notice how all these gears are clicking here. We need to look at the Dow, we need to look at the dollar, and we can get a better idea of the follow through we could see in commodities, and therefore those specific Forex pairs.